quick live stream. I didn't have time to make a full YouTube video today, but I wanted to get something out as I was working on my product that I'm scaling currently. My phone is what's recording the live, so I can't show you, but we've done 34,000 and some change in the last 30 days in sales and growing. Last year we did $330,000 in sales in that one specific product. And so I have this slower approach to Amazon FBA, and that's been built over being an immense action taker for years, where I was always, what's next, what's next, what's next, launch, 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 launch. And I had to slow way down. And what finally got me to find a product like this one, the one I was just telling you about, was that tip that I'm about to give you. So I'm gonna give you guys a chance to ask them questions throughout this. This is a YouTube Live. It's a new format, doing the vertical thing with the phone that they're offering. And so yeah, if you're here watching this live, be sure to let me know that you're here. Be sure to hop in the chat and ask any questions that you have. But other than that, back to what I was saying. Tips and tricks for 2024. So first off, hi Paul, watching from Toronto. Welcome, nice to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you have any questions, Streets of Ontario. The thing that got me to eventually find true success, true profitable success that I can actually pay myself consistently with. I'm not worried about launching the next product to make sure I keep things scaling and moving, and this one's dying out. We got to get more money coming in. Consistent cash flowing Amazon FBA business. Slowing way down and making sure that I had the only solution in the market, or I had a solution for a problem in the market that only I was solving, right? So there's a new class of product being created, and that's what really set me aside. Instead of looking at the features, the benefits, trying to improve, trying to make better, differentiate from the other sellers, I went a whole new direction. I just said, what can all of the customers agree upon is right in this market? Most gurus, and I hate to refer to other people making videos and gurus, whatever. I hardly even watch Amazon FBA videos myself. I'm just out there doing it. But from what I remember are saying, focus on the negative, right? What's wrong in a market, go fix that. And then there's your solution. There's why you're going to win, AKA read bad reviews and fix those things. I actually disagree. So I went into a market where there was a lot of positivity, a lot of people saying what they did like about what was already there. And so I knew this customer base was going to give good reviews if I at least had what was there. So to me, that was a good thing, right? I was actually excited about that. I was like, well, I've launched things where it was like almost my first 10 reviews were 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. It's like, everyone's so critical there. But in the market I'm in now, people are so positive, uplifting, and even the standard product has a 4.5 star rating. So when I went in with this attitude of like, well, I'm going to create a completely new class of product here and sell it to an uncontested market space, meaning that I'm not directly competing with my competitors because they're actually doing something else. They're doing a more for less model. Hey, we have a pretty cheap product, but you can get a bunch of it. My differentiation was I have exactly what everyone agrees is best in this market, and it is more expensive, and you're gonna get less of it. However, if you want that, you have to come to me, right? We created this new class of product. And so I think in 2024, going forward, if you actually wanna stand out on Amazon, if you wanna succeed, following my footprints the way that I did it. Again, I can't speak for anyone else's model. I have very little experience with wholesale, what's up with retail arbitrage, but I did break free in the world of private label into this world of brand building. And there's these connotations that come attached to that. A lot of the times people think, well, is it more difficult? Is it more expensive? Is it harder to find a manufacturer? Jasco, hey, how's it going? And then City Pass said, hi, Professor Paul. I definitely don't deserve that title, but hello. Thanks for all that you do. Learn a lot from your videos. God bless you. Oh, thanks. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. No, back to what I was saying. It is not harder. It is not more expensive. Well, let me change it. It's a dichotomy. It can be. Okay. So in almost all of these situations, we're looking for a specific answer, and the answer usually doesn't exist. It's a little bit of everything. But what will help you stand out is taking time, being patient, and developing your offer, and then don't release the offer until it's clearly the right choice in the market. So I see it time and time again, and I just had a call with one of my students in my inner circle, my mastermind, Savage Circle, yesterday. And my biggest piece of advice to him was slow down, right? I can tell you're an action taker. It's impressive, right? I never have to tell you to go do anything, but you're tripping on yourself. Your photographer doesn't even have what he needs to have to get going. He's already hired and, going to be scheduled to do the thing. And that the packaging isn't to the point that it should be, and you're thinking about just printing it anyway because you want to get it to the photographer. It's like, no one's waiting on you. Okay, we create this false sense of pressure that it has to happen now. I'd much rather have a $10 million business in 5 years than a $100,000 business this year that fails next year. Does that make sense? So just broadening our horizon, we can achieve so much more than we think in a year and so much less than we think in a day. And just every day, not changing directions. So my biggest tips and tricks for 2024 is what I would have told you if this was 1924 and I was telling you to start a business too. And I was a business owner and operator in that time, and I was coaching people on how I run my small business. It would be find a customer who needs help, who doesn't currently have a new innovative solution to their problem, who's stuck in an old boring market. Innovate a solution for that specific customer and unabashedly become the best in the market and maintain profit the whole way. You don't need to give up on profit for 6 months to be profitable. Like, those are plays that you can make. But if you just want to make money selling on Amazon, which is all that I want to do, right? I get deep joy out of the process, yes. But at the end of the day, I just want to make money online, right? And big secret, right? It's like everyone has to have this big mission, this big drive. It's like, I actually get joy out of just like, I like fishing and I like being alive and working out and hanging out with my friends, hanging out with my girlfriend. Like, I don't need to find deep value in what I'm working on other than the fact that I have to enjoy what I'm working on. And so, with all of that being said, what I'm getting at is that if you can just slow down and get one successful product this year, instead of saying, oh, I remember this goal 2 years ago, I'm going to launch a product every month. And I shied off of that a little bit. I missed the goal, but I think I launched like 7 products in 2020. I no longer sell any of them. So what was that all for? I could have just been building one great thing. Even if I spent all of 2020 not selling anything, and in 2021 I started selling something, still I prolonged it. And I didn't start selling the product that I'm selling now until last spring in 2023. And it is the first time that a year later after the fact, the product's selling better than when I first launched it, which is my key point here. I want a business that makes me money, and to do that, I need to build something that lasts, okay? It needs to be built to last. So I'm here to scream from the rooftops, do not sell cheap stuff. It is a means to an end. It will not make you rich unless you have built a system in which you can pay less than anybody for that thing. And so as cheap as the market's willing to get, you can compete with them directly. If that process gives you deep meaning and makes you money, and that process sounds fun to you, then by all means, and you can stick with it for a long time, go do that process. That process does not sound fun to me. Can everybody in the chat do me a favor and let me know how many Amazon FBA products you've sold already? If you're brand new, say I'm new but interested in learning. And if you've had anything ever fail, tell me why you think it went wrong. So, have you sold a product on Amazon before? Yes or no? If you did, how did it go? Do you still sell that product? Are you having any problems with it? Because I'm curious, even though we just have a small group here of people watching the stream at the moment, I want to put to test some of my frameworks, some of my blueprints to help you and guide you and maybe get you to just, a lot of the times, just perspective, right? Because we know if we just order a good, a good product and list it and it's clearly valuable, it can make money, right? That's what private label is. There would be no business model there if that wasn't possible. So I'm not saying like it's impossible to do private label and just take a product quickly and make money with it. I did it myself, but we're talking about longevity, fulfillment, building a real business, building something you can sell. So Emily Kate says, I'm new but interested. Okay, Emily, thanks first of all for answering. Second of all, how are you thinking about choosing a product? And feel free to answer this or not, but I just want to use it as an example of people, for people. If right now you're new and you want to think about finding a product through the lens of, I'm going to look at what else is selling, I'm going to make incremental improvements to that, and then people will see my incremental improvements and buy it. Guess what the next seller is going to do to you? Go, that one's selling well. It's new, it has small reviews, and it's still selling well. They made these improvements. We're going to make that the new standard and make these new small incremental improvements. So a lot of the times, what happens is that in markets, specifically like that, we have a bunch of products that get over-engineered over time and profit goes down. Total value to customer actually does go up because we have a bunch of people trying to make incremental improvements to what exists, which doing so drives the cost up. And we also simultaneously have people trying to sell with the more for less mentality. If you drop your price, you're going to sell more, because value to customer is utility of product minus its price. So what can I do there? Well, I can improve the utility of the product, or I can just lower the price. Either way, I'm increasing value to customer. So that's why it's not strange that we have all these sellers popping up on Amazon, all these private label sellers competing with each other. You have to understand that is the natural course. That doesn't change. So what has to change is me. The way that I approach selling on Amazon in 2024 has to change. I can't jump into the red ocean, so to say. There's a great book called Blue Ocean Strategy by Renee Malborn and Chen Kim, I believe. I might be butchering the name, sorry, but this discusses this idea of this red ocean and blue ocean strategy of business building. And when I read this, I was like, oh my God, I was a red ocean seller and business operator for the past 4 years. I'm jumping into shark-filled waters where everyone's trying to make money, competing with each other, instead of separating themselves actively from everywhere else, saying, what is the market really good at? Where did they over-engineer? I'm going to stop doing all that. So if we look at like a value curve, maybe theirs is like this, and then it dies off. I'm going to go real low where they're compensating and over-engineering. I'm going to go really high where they stopped paying attention to how they could be valuable to their customers. So in this way, I'm going to exist in a completely uncontested space. They're all over here, red ocean, competing with each other. I'm right here doing something that is new and innovative and built in through the lens of what's truly valuable to the customer, not just what's different from what's currently available. And okay, I'm going to pause for a second because Jeffrey says, I must be missing something, but even with a blue ocean product, what stops the Chinese copying and undercutting you? Okay, here's the thing. When we build a blue ocean innovation strategy, it, by the very nature of building it, makes you the market king for that thing. So if someone comes in and copies me, and this is a very good question, by the way, Jeffrey, because it has happened to me. There was a small competitor who saw what we were doing and how we changed directions in the market and created something completely new and tried to play the game of more for less on me. But because you're in a blue ocean and because the nature of your product is linked to its value innovation, in that you have set a certain price and a certain standard in the market, you're being perceived in a certain way, and some of that value comes off of the way that you're presenting your offer. When they came in and tried to do a less attentive offer, less attentive packaging, and lower price, they were now just in the red ocean. Do you see? So it's like if someone comes in, copies you, does it worse, your branding, your packaging isn't the same, and your offer isn't unique and innovative for the customer anymore. I'm speaking in terms of the Chinese seller now, and they're clearly now just the new cheap option. Well, that's not what the customer's buying over in the blue ocean. They want to buy from you. They want to buy your story, and they want the product that's more expensive and more clearly valuable. So by doing that, you are naturally avoiding your future proofing, right? Because part of blue ocean strategy is getting the customer to want to buy into your story and join your tribe. And so it's kind of invincible in a weird way. Like, I'll tune in with you in a couple of years, but this is the longest I've had a product selling for. It's getting more and more profitable over time. I have someone who's trying to do what I'm doing. I'm converting heavily on their listing. They've now been there for 9 months. So this is not a new occurrence. They're losing money actively because I know the market, the pricing of doing what I'm trying to do and how cheap they have to sell in comparison. And they're not winning. We're winning. Okay, so yes, it does hold up to Chinese sellers coming in, copying and undercutting you, because that is a red ocean strategy. You actually can't do that. That's the beautiful thing about it. And I don't just want to talk about this book the whole time, but you can read it and see some of the examples for yourself. I started and stopped 4 products, and my issue with starting back up is having enough available funding to be able to cover all the FBA fees. Okay. Having enough funding to be able to cover all the available. Okay, so you did too much too soon, it sounds like. If you have 4 products and you can't cover the cash flow necessary, then you shouldn't have 4 products. You should have 1, and you should just do 1 well. Jasco says, can you elaborate on that? I see you use Liquid Death a lot. Is it just coming to market with new edgier packaging with a character on it? Did Liquid Death change anything about the seltzer? So this is, again, a very good question. First of all, did you guys notice the hat? This is from my fishing brand, Savage & Smith, and it's definitely made in that image, isn't it? But I want to make sure that I answer this the way that I want you to understand it, because it's easy to just talk but not be heard. What Liquid Death did was maximized tribal connectivity. Like, when I buy from them, I'm this type of person. So what they did is they started selling to an identity-based customer avatar instead of a utility-based customer avatar. Does that make sense? So when I buy a can of Liquid Death, I've bought many of their flavors. I don't buy it because I'm like, what's inside of this is superior. I buy it because I'm in my mid-20s. I like listening to metal. I'm edgy. And for one thing, I like branding. So I'm buying it because of who I am, not because of what the product is. And once you crack that code, you've now just gone back to what Jeffrey asked earlier about, can't someone just come in and undercut you? I challenge every one of you in this chat and everyone who watches this as a video on demand, go copy Liquid Death and take them down. Be my guest. Do it. Just go make an edgy box and go take them down, right? That's the blueprint. If the Chinese are doing it, why don't we all just do it? We'll just copy them, because it doesn't work in that type of atmosphere. People want Liquid Death. They don't want Schmiquid Schmesh, right? And that's a generic old-timey like way of saying non-name brand. But when you're doing brand building, you're building a brand, and people feel a way about a brand. When I say Vans, when I say Nike, you feel something, and you picture something, and you picture someone, and you picture someone wearing that type of thing, and you think about what type of person that is, right? And so when Liquid Death built their company, they were very smart, okay? Because they built a group of raving fans. People, you can go look this up. Look up Liquid Death tattoos. People have gotten Liquid Death logo tattooed onto them because of what it stands for and what it's like to be the kind of person that drinks Liquid Death. Not because of what's in the can from Austrian Alps mountains, okay? So that's a great example of why you'll fail in 2024 is because you care about what's in the can more than you feel about what it looks like, or more than what it's like to feel something when you look at the brand. Does that make sense? I'm maybe jumbling my words there, but as Amazon sellers, I cannot say this loud enough. Maybe I have to physically raise my voice, because it's like, for years I got this wrong, and it was just financial hardship after extreme up to extreme low to this product's no longer selling to this one's winning, let's cancel that, to let's reroute funds from here to this project. It's crazy when we focus on product and we focus on feature and incremental improvements, it it completely negates why we keep seeing people winning. And then we just think it's repetition. And so we get stuck in this path of, yeah, but if I launched 100 products, maybe it would work. Do you know how ridiculous that is? If you launched 100 products, maybe it would work. I thought this way one time. It's like, oh, I just have to get. No, you can just win with one great product. If it's not like we're throwing darts, like, oh, eventually I'll hit the bullseye. Yeah, if you had 1,000 years to live, we don't have 1,000 years to live, and we don't have $1 million, any one of us. Maybe you do, I don't. But all of this to say, so let me rein back into where I was going and why I started the stream. I just got a big box of, maybe when I get more technologically savvy, I'll be able to show images while I'm doing vertical lives, but big box of samples came in last week. I just got off the phone with my US manufacturer. We did a Zoom call with the owners. This year we're going to be getting wholesale distribution for them to many large retailers in the middle of the country, I'll just say that. So directly on bigger, more often purchase levels, we'll be making 50% margins on all wholesale invoices. So beautiful. We're doing 30% margins on Amazon, so immediately more profitable there. My current listing is growing every day. We just had our biggest profit day ever 2-3 days ago. Did $750 in profit in a day, not in sales. $1,600 in sales for what it counts. And so the second SKU that I'm working on, the samples for the second SKU, this is now a step up. This is going to increase impression share for my brand, increase the size of the company. I'm not selling a secondary product that is smaller than what I'm doing now. No, I'm going even harder. I'm going to a bigger market now where competitors have 15,000 reviews and Amazon is some of the sellers. But because of my market positioning, because of my product market fit, and because of my brand story, I can do that and I can go compete there. If I was just competing on features, that would be impossible, right? It wouldn't be possible unless, again, I had the cheapest product and the best features in the market, right? But if we can get them to join our tribe, if we can get them to feel like it's made for them, they're going to keep coming back. And so I've built this continuity business where people are coming back to me every year. Hello, Hamdan. Hello, Josco. Emily. Glad I found your channel. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks. But the second SKU is even bigger than my first one. I'm building it through the lens of I want someone to read into this brand story and feel like they're joining a group of people that buys this specific product. Okay, so the reason I didn't just see my immediate success, what's my name? My name is Paul. My name is Paul Savage, name of the channel. So seeing that immediate success, wouldn't it have been logical to just go like, oh, month 3 last year, I'm gonna go launch a new product? No. I'm gonna create a immense foundation, right? I'm going to build a sturdy foundation where I have systems in place and where I'm tracking key metrics that I need to understand. And then only then, once I understand why I'm successful right now, and I can see how my product sits in the market, and I can see what happens when we run ads. I spent like, I think $60,000 on ads last year. 64,000. I'll have to go look at the advertising report again, but I got a lot of experience of what it's like to spend money to try and acquire customers last year. And as I've said many times, we were profitable last year. Year 1, product 1, we ended the year, I think, with 21% profit margin or something like that. I made a video about it. I'm not the best with numbers, trust me. I'm transparent, but I have a bad memory. And so I'd have to study up on that before I go on Shark Tank. But the point being is I now understand what it actually takes to make a product successful on Amazon. And so I no longer really feel super uncertain about the outcome of my product number two. I know we're going to come in and disrupt this slightly different market than we're in, just the same way we did this first time. And so I'd appreciate you joining me on this journey and subscribing if you are new down below. I make a bunch of free content talking about what I'm working on, and yeah, that's really all that I'm asking of you. You don't have to pay me anything. I just want to share my knowledge. And there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of bullcrap. There's a lot of big expensive courses that aren't valuable. And so I've always just tried to be radically transparent and open-minded and share what I know to be the truth. If I see something that I don't think is true, I test it and call it out if I see that it is not true. And so what I want to warn you of, listen up, is that in 2024, selling a cheap product that's different than what currently exists is not going to make you rich. It's not going to make you money. Okay? It's not going to be consistent. It's not like, I feel like I have this pull to make this message heard, and it's why I make these videos. I mean, I don't have to make these videos. I'm in the fields operating my business. That's what I do, and where I point my effort most of the time. But when I do have these moments and I do have an inspiration to make content, I want that message to be heard. That you're going to see a lot of people that try and make this sound easy because they have some expensive course, and everything you need to know to start this business can be learned for free. And I learned it for free, and I just put in some hard work and I tried some stuff. And yeah, it was a rough 5-year start, and I no longer sell any of the products I used to sell. But I've finally found land, and I'm leaving the boat of uncertainty on the beach and exploring a pretty awesome environment. And there's sunshine and coconuts and like, it's pretty awesome on this side, right? Once I started to actually just slow down and see something off in the distance and then focus in on that instead of getting distracted by there's a seagull over there. Oh, a fish jumped. Like, this is getting, the analogy's obscure, but it just feels good. And like, I feel like I finally have a future in this. Like, for a long time, it was like, yeah, I sell on Amazon, but you know, oh, what do you sell? It's like, oh, you know, weird stuff, Chinese stuff, and you know, this, oh, you wouldn't believe it if I told you what I sold. I no longer have that. I like lead with the type of company that I own when I introduce myself. And when someone asks me what I do, it's a point of pride for me. And I'm proud of all of that. And so if I could just get a handful of people to learn from me for free and build a brand that is selling a meaningful product that has a great brand story, that's it. That's the goal of my content. So enjoy, ask your questions as you have them, and try and just start something you'd be proud of. Like, it's a pretty simple proposition. And that's how I started looking at it, was just, can I build something that's going to take me 5 years, but I'm really stoked to wake up and work on? That's a better deal for me. Dell said, hey, Paul, have you gotten to the point where you need to rent a small warehouse space? No, and I never will. I don't think, because of the nature of Amazon FBA, they by far are the most cost-effective way to ship my product. My product's relatively large and my fees are immensely small because of the fact of where my manufacturer's warehouse is located, where we're shipping from, and the fees for an LTL shipment. Like, I pay like 24 cents a unit. So no, I don't need a warehouse space yet. And it would be really hard to figure out why I would need one. Let me put it that way. Jasco said, are you in a market that you relate to or enjoy? I would say I definitely do relate to it and I do enjoy it. But it's not a I don't identify as being an enthusiast in my enthusiast market, if that makes sense. Um, but I'm enthusiastic about telling a great story and selling a great product. So the play of it all, the gameplay of business is more so what I'm enthusiastic about. And I really like the people that I'm serving. They're very energetic, they're very positive, they're very there's a sense of community there. So in that regard, I really do relate to it and enjoy it. But it's not like a hobby of mine, it's not fishing. Um yeah. Um so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm just going to be working with my sample today and finalizing my package design and hanging out with y'all for a little while. Just answering some questions and talking about Amazon. But I'm deeply motivated. I think the state of things is really motivating. I think it's starting to click for people that private label can make you sales, but it's pretty hard to make a lot of profit, enough profit to live off of. Um, Brand building and building a valuable company, like there's nothing new that I'm teaching. It's old stuff. It's what building a business always was. Making something deeply valuable that people care about and want to, people vote with their dollar. So when they buy from you, they're voting for you. Jessica said, we'll have to talk metal bands sometime. Yeah, right on. Check out Silent Planet, Invent Anime. Those are some of my favorites. Jay Jones said, hi, Paul. I'm new. I did one of those expensive courses from an FBA guru, but didn't get anywhere. I'm here to learn a different approach. Thank you. Welcome. I would like to think that I'm like the chill coffee shop on YouTube. That's kind of my vibe. It's like doors open, come in, enjoy yourself. There's no fee to hang out in here. Just come vibe. So yeah, and if you want to hear a story from a hipster guy with long hair, it's probably likely to happen there. Del the Hater, how much did you spend? How much did I spend on what? So you're funny. Some people think I am. I know you do. Some people think I'm annoying and an idiot. Some people think I'm charming. And that's the world, my friend. There's a lot of people out there that think a lot of different things. And ultimately, I try not to let any of that affect me. I can see that sometimes it does sneak in and tries to affect me, but I just go, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep being me. And if any one of you were to meet me on the street, this is how I behave as well. And so I'm not going to churn out some highly edited YouTube video that tries to make me seem like something I'm not. I'd like to think like I'm like all of you. I mean, just I occasionally turn a camera on. That's the only difference. I mean, we're all just trying to build e-commerce businesses. I don't know where the hell the like Lambo stuff started coming in and the getting rich stuff. It's like, what if you just lived a normal life, but you had a successful business instead of a successful job? Like that's really the only thing that is different. Like forget the expensive stuff. That's all just shiny object syndrome. If you can just earn your salary that you earn now, but it was from a brand that you felt meaningful to work on, wouldn't that be cool? And so that's kind of what I'm preaching about. And again, I'm not preaching anything actually. I'm just explaining my perspective, I guess. I feel like I have to always give disclaimers because it's like, I'm not your mentor, I'm not your coach, I'm not your teacher, I'm not giving advice. I'm just saying, hey, I'm testing a bunch of stuff. This is what works for me. What do you think? And I would love nothing more than to have a thoughtful disagreement with someone who thinks that brand building isn't the way or something. Jeffrey said, did community building come before product launch, or did product sales drive the community growth? Product sales, okay, so community building did come before product launch. However, product sales drove people to my community, if that makes sense. So we do have a website and we do have social media for the brand. However, I think more people, like I've found comments on my Instagram, for instance, that are like, we buy your product, we love it. And they're new followers and they're finding us as people who have bought it already. And it's pretty hard to organically grow a brand on social media. And it's funny because as soon as I start saying brand building, everyone immediately goes to, oh, off Amazon. No, no, no. On Amazon. Amazon's where a bunch of leads are getting delivered right to your doorstep, right? There's just like a bunch of people like literally typing in, hey, I want this product. If someone builds a great new version of this product, I'll buy it. And we can see it. We can see, hey, 16,000 people search for my product, or the category of my product. And so my message is really like, to build a brand, you don't have to do anything different other than take the time to develop a product that's new and innovates on value and cuts out core components that the market currently competes on and brings in new components and elements that the market hasn't thought of yet, so that you have a standalone offer, and then packaging it in a way that feels very exciting or fun or sad or dark or scary, whatever the feeling your market is trying to evoke. Make sure you evoke that feeling, and being critical in testing all of your thoughts instead of just thinking because I'm doing it, it'll work. That was something that I suffered from for a very long time, was I can see that people are selling this product, but because I'm doing it, it'll work, right? You know, yeah, this guy doesn't sell well, this one doesn't sell well, but this one works really well. And if I try, it'll probably work. Like that's the most delusional thing you can think in business, is just because you're doing it, it's going to work. And so that was like step one, is I had to start doing shit. Just go do stuff, go spend money on products and try and sell them for more than what you spent on them. And then eventually the game became, go source different things than what's currently available and try and make money selling those products. And then eventually when that didn't work, it was try and tell a compelling story and sell people on why your product is a new innovative solution to their problems. And even after that, get them to feel like a member of your community. And that's where that's where I am now. I don't know what the next evolution of that, what season 4 or season 5 is like. But I'm in the thick of it right now, and I'm telling you as I learn. So what keyword search volume do you look for? I like to see that my main keyword that I'm going to be competing for, like this is my product. If it was dark roast ground coffee, that keyword should have 10,000 plus search volume. And then I like to see that the total market has 30, 40, 50,000 plus search volume. So when I say total market, maybe dark roast ground coffee is a search term, but also maybe ground coffee is a search term. Maybe French roast ground coffee is a search term. All of those things are search terms. So I total up all the ones where I'm like, that's my product, but just another way of saying it. I want to see 30, 40,000 total there, and 10 on the main one. If it's like 9 on the main one, 8 on the main one, there's certain seasons, certain times of the year where that is true for me. That's okay, right? But I just need to see enough customer interest, and I need to see consistency. So most people look back a year, look back 5 years. What did your market look like? Is your market growing? Is your market declining? Is it staying the same? I like evergreen markets where the market is just staying the same, right? Maybe slight growth, it's staying the same but slightly growing. And the reason I have 2 fingers and not just one is because a market has natural fluctuation within it. Throughout the year, throughout different months, throughout different buying cycles, what the economy's doing, it could be going up or going down. But I'd like to see that the overall trend, if I were to draw 2 lines that connected the low points and the high points, were consistent, your market's not going anywhere. So how about markets that are boring but are being dominated by 1 or 2 brands with multiple listings? So I would just think back to, that was kind of gross, I had a hair in my mouth. I would think back to, what are they selling? Are they selling and playing the game at a really high level? Like, if I'm new here and I saw them, I would be moved to buy them. And there's something about their listing that just goes without saying it's that good. Or are they an old boring company, right? And so I compete against an old boring company that's sold nationally in retail stores. And a lot of people buy them. And for a long time, probably forever, I will never sell more than them directly head to head on one keyword, because you will always find volume of buyers in cheap name brand. Like, that's not going away. And so my goal is not to take all those sales, but it is to carve out my market space for my people who are on the edge. How does high conversion rate help to reduce PPC? Like reduce ACoS? That's what a high conversion rate would do, because if a lot of people are buying your product after clicking on it, that's good PPC. That's the goal. And you'll have different conversion rates based on targets, and you'll have different conversion rates based on your offer. So if your offer sucks, all of your conversion rates will suck. Let's say out of 50,000 search volume, dark roast ground coffee, 40,000 searches, and let's say ground coffee 3K, strong coffee, blah, 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 10 keywords. If the bulk sales come from just one main keyword, is that a bad sign? No, it's not a bad sign. That's usually the case. You usually have one main keyword that has a lot. It's usually not as dramatic as you just showed. It would rarely be 50,000 and the next biggest is 3K. It's usually like, if you had 50,000, there'd be another similar search term that might have 20, another one that might have 15, and then some 3Ks and 4Ks the longer they get. In your case, it's kind of funny. You used, I know you're just giving examples, I just want to give you shit. You used the long tail keyword as the one that had the most search volumes in ground coffee, which would likely have more searches than that had less. But these are the specifics that we get caught up in that don't matter, right? If there's a bunch of people buying it, the market exists, it works, right? And it's consistent, that's all that matters. And so there's no secret formula, there's no secret recipe. There's no like, oh, this is back to private label criteria, 12 out of 15 have to reach this number and this many reviews and this much revenue. And it's like, if you have competitors that make tens of thousands of dollars a month consistently, a couple of them maybe make $100,000 per month, and you have tens of thousands of people searching every month, the difference between anything within that market doesn't matter. It's just, yeah, people buy that product. If you did it right, you could sell there. If you had a product that's doing decently, 15% net margin, 5 to 10K per month in revenue, would you go ahead and launch a ton of color variations to scale it? Or what would be your next step? The way I decide my next step in business is always effort versus reward. And I got this from Alex Hormozi. Great tip. I've been using it for like a year now. How hard is it going to be to launch a bunch of products in a bunch of colors? What will be the reward? If you have 10 more colors and now you can do 20K per month instead of 10K per month, but you're still at a 15% margin, then you've just grown 100%. You've done well. But you launched 10 things. That takes a while. And you spent all the money to launch all of those things. That's a lot of capital. Or could I have just looked at a new, bigger area instead of doubling down on my small market, which, by the way, 5 to 10K per month, good on you. That's fantastic. But a bunch more of options there, it's kind of minor leagues. Like I'm not trying to sound arrogant saying this, but it's like, if your goal is to scale, I don't think more colors of something that only makes $1,500 a month in profit is the answer. I think you have to go, what is the big business that I'm building here? What's the valuable thing that I'm creating? If I was gonna, my goal is to sell this business for X number of $1 million in 5 years, would that be viable with my current trajectory? And that's how I approach it, because I learned pretty quick that revenue isn't profit, in that even in our good months, when I see 35K in revenue, but I see 10K in profit, I'm like, first of all, great. We're doing good, right? We're doing good. I'm not going to complain about this. Nothing worse than that. However, if I want this to be like a big, valuable company that I'm paying myself a large salary on with employees, like I have to do so much more than this. So am I going to spend the next year launching variations of a color variations of a product that does 5K a month? It's not the big needle you're going to move. So what's the one big domino you can knock over that would 10x the size of your business? Like, why isn't your business 10 times larger? And so that's a simple question to ask when you're thinking about scaling. If I had to make this 10 times the size of it currently, what would I do? And for me, I know what I would do. I would launch more products like mine in neighboring markets with my style of brand story and packaging and offer development and value innovation. And I would just scale to 10 unique listings unrelated to each other. And then I would try and scale vertically within those markets as well. So I'd scale horizontally first and then vertically once I have all of those different markets. I'm hoping or looking into a cleaning product. Do you have any experience with chemicals and Amazon or sourcing from US? Yeah, so just look up the specifics of, I don't personally know. I did have one student who did one-on-one calls with me for a while that sold like a chemical type product, and it was sourced in the US. And so if there's some hoops you have to jump through, or if there's some certification you have to get, just go figure out what it is and just see how difficult is that going to be, how much is it going to cost. And that's how I approach all these problems. Just go until something breaks, and then once it breaks, you can learn more about that thing, fix that thing, and keep going until something else breaks, and then learn more about that thing and keep going. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to maximize what I know versus what I'm actually doing. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. We're going to wrap it up here. If you want to continue hanging out with me, feel free to go check out any of my pre-recorded tutorials I've released lately. Surely you haven't watched all of those, and I do put some energy into those as well. But thanks for being here. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you next time. Later.